Greetings adventurers, Matsume here, back with another New World crafting video. In this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know about Armor Aptitude Crates. We'll start off with a brief overview of how the Tradeskill aptitude system works, before going over the most efficient items to craft for armoring XP. Afterwards, we'll take a close look at salvaging and the effect it has on average cost per level. Finally, I'll open up 100 of each aptitude crate and go over the results with respect to profitability. Tradeskill Aptitude is a system in New World that allows players to gain additional rewards after reaching the level cap in a specific trade skill. After reaching level 200, you will continue to earn experience and gain aptitude levels. Aptitude levels are split in 3 equal parts, each rewarding the player with a crate of materials relevant to that specific trade skill. Completing an entire level will reward you with 1 uncommon, 1 rare, and 1 epic crate. One thing to note is the experience required to gain an aptitude level is different for each trade skill. In this video, we'll be focusing on Armoring Aptitude, which requires 1,764,000 XP per level. This is a lot of XP, so our goal when grinding aptitude levels is to maximize the amount of XP gained while minimizing the cost per craft. The most efficient way of grinding armor aptitude levels is by mass crafting and salvaging gloves, but not just any glove. Specifically, we will be crafting a subset of tier 5 gloves that only require 4 primary materials per craft. The reason these gloves are so efficient is that they require the least amount of primary materials. In New World, primary materials must be the same or higher tier as the item being crafted, whereas secondary materials can be any tier. Because tier 5 materials are much more expensive than tier 2 materials, we want to craft items that require the least amount of primary materials, while filling in the secondary materials with cheap tier 2 mats to get the most bang for our buck. Now, when it comes to crafting gloves, you actually have 6 options to choose from. You can either craft normal infused silk gloves, infused leather gloves, and orichalcum plate gauntlets, or you can craft replica silk, replica leather, and replica plate gloves. The first choice you will have to make is between crafting normal gloves or expedition replica gloves. Normal gloves give 6,075 experience per craft, while replica gloves give 12,825 XP per craft. As a result, you will need to craft 290 normal gloves per armor aptitude level versus 138 replica gloves for the same amount of XP. And while it may seem like an easy choice between the two, replica gloves require special materials such as sticky vines and spectral dust, which add significant additional cost. The second choice you will have to make is between silk, leather, and orichalcum gloves. The choice will determine which tier 5 primary material you will need, as well as which tier 5 material you will get back from salvaging. If you choose to make silk gloves, you will need 4 tier 5 cloth per craft and you will get back infused silk when salvaging, whereas if you choose leather gloves, you will need 4 tier 5 leathers and you will get back infused leather when salvaging. Likewise, if you craft orichalcum gloves, you will need tier 5 metals and you will get back orichalcum ingots from salvaging. Ideally, you should choose whichever has the cheapest tier 5 material available in large quantities. On my server, tier 5 cloth and leather generally sell for much less than metal, so those are the gloves I focus on in this video. Having said that, crafting metal gloves can be the better option when taking into consideration the materials gained from salvaging, as we will see in the next section. As I mentioned earlier, the gloves you craft in this process will ultimately be salvaged. You will get 2 items back from salvaging. The first are normal versions of whichever type of primary material is used in crafting those gloves. For example, if you craft cloth gloves, you will get back infused silk. The second item you will get back are infused armor scraps, which can be turned into experience at the outfitting station. I've been keeping track of the results from salvaging both replica and normal versions of silk and leather gloves, which you can see in these 4 tables. Each row in the table shows the amount of gloves crafted in addition to the amount of primary materials and armor scraps gained from salvaging those gloves. When it comes to the primary materials, you will gain on average 1.5 infused silk, leather, or orichalcum per glove from salvaging. The rate appears to be the same whether you are crafting replica or normal gloves. Each aptitude level gained from crafting replica gloves will generate roughly 207 tier 5 materials from salvaging, while each level gained from crafting normal gloves will generate roughly 435 tier 5 materials from salvaging. On my server, tier 5 epic materials such as blister weave and scarhide can be bought in large quantities for around 6 gold apiece, while infused silk and leather sell for 8 to 10 gold apiece depending on the market conditions. If your server is similar, you can craft with the epic materials and sell the normal materials you get back from salvaging to reduce the total cost per aptitude level significantly. In fact, this discount in price between epic materials and normal materials is the reason why crafting normal gloves can often be cheaper than crafting crafting replica gloves, as we will see in a moment. Next, let's take a look at armor scraps. Interestingly enough, it appears the amount of armor scraps gained per glove is slightly higher for replica gloves than normal gloves, but you will be crafting a lot more normal gloves per aptitude level than replica gloves. As a result, you can expect to get around 5 armor scraps per aptitude level from salvaging replica gloves, while you will get on average 8 armor scraps per level from salvaging normal infused gloves. Each armor scrap can be turned into 26,400 armoring XP at the outfitting station. It takes 67 armor scraps to get 1 full armor aptitude level. What this means is you can expect to get 1 free aptitude level worth of scraps every 13 levels when salvaging replica gloves, and every 8 levels when salvaging normal infused gloves. It's important to factor this in when calculating the total cost per aptitude level, as we will see in the next section of this video. One last thing to keep in mind is that you can get an additional 5% global XP bonus by controlling the Monarch's Bluffs fort. This bonus applies to crafting XP and can be helpful if you're trying to min-max armor aptitude levels. Personally, I don't bother claiming the fort before every crafting session. However, what I did was save up all of my armor scraps throughout this process and made sure to claim the fort for the buff before converting all of my armor scraps into XP. In this next section, we're going to take all the information I've just thrown at you and put it all together to get a better understanding of the true cost per armor aptitude level. For this purpose, we'll be taking a look at some basic crafting calculators I've built in my spreadsheet. I've set up one table to calculate the cost of crafting replica gloves and another to calculate the cost of crafting infused gloves. The columns on the left display the amount of each material required per item and per level, while the columns on the right display the cost per item and per level. The green column in the middle is the price per item that I input manually according to current market conditions. In this example, I've set the price of primary materials at 6 gold, which is about average for blister weave and scarhide. I've also set the price of replica mats such as sticky vines at 1.5 gold, though prices can vary widely for these. Finally, I've set the price of secondary materials at 0.5 gold, which is not unusual when using buy orders to buy fey iron and shade cloth, for example. Our cost per aptitude level from replica gloves is close to 6,000 gold, while our cost per level from normal gloves is close to 8,000 gold. However, this is before subtracting the value gained back from salvaging. In this example, I've assumed a value of 9 gold per infused silk or leather, and subtracted that from cost per level for both replica and normal gloves. This brings the cost per level down significantly, most notably for normal gloves, which generate a lot more materials per level from salvaging. Lastly, I like to account for the free experience gained from armor scraps by subtracting that from the total cost per level. Now, it is important to keep in mind that this cost per level assumes that you are buying epic materials relatively cheap and selling the normal materials gained from salvaging at a higher price. We can change the price of the primary materials to match that of the salvage materials to simulate crafting with normal rather than epic materials. You can see the average cost per level goes up significantly as a result. I'd also like to point out how sensitive the price per level is to the price per expedition material. Going back to our previous assumption of crafting with 6 gold epic materials, let's change the price per expedition material from 1.5 gold to 2 gold. In this scenario, the cost per level while crafting replica gloves goes up by almost 650 gold, and as a result, crafting normal gloves becomes the cheaper option. If you plan on grinding out armor aptitude levels as I have done, I would highly encourage you to set up a similar spreadsheet. It's incredibly helpful to minimize costs and maximize profits. In this next part, I'm going to play the footage of me opening 100 of each of the Armor Aptitude Crates. If you don't care to watch me open all of these crates, feel free to skip ahead to the next section in which we will be going over the results and profitability. Now that we've opened 100 of each crate, let's take a look at the results. Amongst the most valuable items, I got 7 armoring clothing patterns, 651 Asmo, 733 runic leather, 721 phoenix weave, 169 timeless shards, 2 legendary patterns, 19 brilliant animus, 18 shards of consecrated iron, and 25 squirming vines. So was it worth it, and did I make a profit? In short, yes, it was worth it. In fact, it was very profitable for me. The total value of all of the items, excluding the 2 legendary patterns, comes out to roughly 936,000 gold. The value of just the legendary materials, brilliant animus, shards of consecrated iron, and squirming vines comes out to roughly 842,000 gold, or 8,400 gold per aptitude level. If I had to guess, I'd say my average cost per aptitude level over the last few weeks has been around 3,000 gold, which would put my total profit above 500,000 gold. Having said that, bragging about how much gold I made isn't going to help you make gold. What can help you, however, is understanding the average results per level by dividing my actual results by 100 levels. So on average, you should expect to get 7 Asmodium, runic leather, and phoenix weave per aptitude level. In addition to this, you can expect to get 1 brilliant animus, shard of consecrated iron, and squirming vines every 5 levels. Using these numbers, you can calculate the average return per level on your server, and compare that with your server's average cost per level to determine for yourself whether this is a profitable craft on your server. And that just about covers everything you need to know about Armor Aptitude Crates. I hope you found this information helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. If you like this kind of content, I would encourage you to check out my videos on crafting legendary bags and legendary tools as well. Thanks again for watching, and happy crafting.